Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the N1 Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Marcus Sadu, and today we are talking about goal setting in regards to fitness, so how to reach your fitness goals. We're going to cover each of the 5 steps that I outline, and then I'm going to use myself as an example and detail how to actually go through the process one by one. So here goes. First step is write down your goal and be specific. So you want this goal to be challenging but realistic, right? So having a 50-pound weight loss goal in a month is not realistic. It's incredibly challenging, but it's not realistic. So you want to set something that is doable, but is also, realistic in that you're setting yourself up for success. It can happen, right? Number 2 is to break your goal down and set mini deadlines. You also want to include the how in this section. So it's great that you want to, you have a 30-pound weight loss goal, but if you don't include how you're going to reach that goal, it's essentially useless, right? Because it's just a shot in the dark. It's like, oh, I'm trying to lose 30 pounds. So you really want to break down this goal specifically, set mini deadlines, and then include the how in section number 2. Section number 3, have someone or something to hold you accountable. So it could be a friend, a coworker, a trainer, nutritionist, parent, whatever. It could be a competition, anything. Any sort of external accountability will really help you reach your goal. Number 4, reassess along the way. So things change, right? So for example, you might have a 30-pound weight loss goal, but once you hit 20 pounds, you might be happy with the way that you're looking, feeling, performing. So it doesn't really make much sense to go to that 30-pound loss, right? So you might cut it off short and you're like, cool, I'm happy where I'm at. Now I'm going to maintain. Or in this same scenario, you might find that losing 10 pounds, that additional 10 pounds, once you hit the 20, you're like, man, I would like to lose that 10 pounds, but it's going to require changing my lifestyle in a way that's just not worth that extra 10 pounds. So you decide to stop it off there as well. On the contrary, you might actually lose your 30 pounds, hit your goal, and you're like, I kind of want to lose 5 more. So it's just really important to reassess along the way because goals are a moving target. They shift. So reassess along the way and make sure that everything still lines up essentially. Number 5, the final one, celebrate your wins. So once you break down your goal and set mini deadlines, you want to celebrate hitting those deadlines, right? It's like give yourself a pat on the back. So the only caveat here would be that the way that you celebrate or how you celebrate doesn't negatively impact your goal itself. So if you had a 20-pound weight loss goal and you were going to celebrate with like a 4,000 calorie treat day, that's probably not going to be super conducive to your progress, right? But on the contrary, getting yourself a new pair of walking shoes or a new workout outfit will lend itself to reaching your goal, your 20-pound weight loss goal, because you're going to want to get out, wear that stuff, move more, and therefore you're going to burn more calories, feel better, sleep better, and then you're going to yield a better result, right? So you want to celebrate in a way that is conducive to you reaching your goal, not contrary to reaching your goal. So now let's get into an example. I'm going to use myself here, like I said. So first section is write your goal down and be specific. I actually have a weight gain goal over the next 5 months, so I want to put on some muscle. My goal is to gain 8 to 10 pounds of total muscle over the next 5 months. So I'm using definitive digits, right? I'm being specific. 8 to 10 pounds in 5 months. I've got that set as a sort of a whole deadline. And I have very, very specific result in place. So for those of you who are familiar with the process of gaining muscle, you might be like, man, Marcus, that's a pretty ambitious goal. Yes, it is. However, I've built a solid base in the past, and muscle memory is definitely a thing. So I'm expecting to gain a little quicker than someone who is at my body composition level but hasn't actually had that muscle to begin with. So, or hasn't weight trained extensively like I have. So to me, that goal is realistic. It's super challenging, but it is realistic in my eyes. So number 2, Break it down, set mini deadlines. You want to be sure, like I said, to include the how in this section. The how is vital. So it's great that I want to gain 8 to 10 pounds, but simply wanting it doesn't get me anywhere. I've got to set an actionable plan in place as far as how I'm going to get there in order to get the results. So my how. I'm going to weight train 2 to 3 days per week. Probably going to lean towards 3 days. I'm not going to outline my program because that would probably be my workout program. That would probably be pretty boring for you guys. But I am just going to focus on compound movements like squat, bench, deadlift, pull-ups, all that good stuff. And then lifting more weight week to week in order to get stronger and bigger, because I have to give my body a reason to build muscle. If you don't have any stimulus, you're not going to put on muscle, right? Weight training is the stimulus. Nutritionally, I'm going to eat in a caloric surplus. So in a fat loss phase, you eat in a caloric deficit. I'm going to eat in a caloric surplus because I need to put on weight. I'm going to use 3 meals per day with plenty of calories, and I'm going to emphasize single to minimal ingredient whole foods. The food quality, guys, stays the same. Even though I want to build muscle, the food quality stays the same as if I was on a fat loss phase. I'm just going to eat more of them. There is a little bit more room for extracurriculars, being that I want to put on weight. However, I'm not just going to go on, the seafood diet, meaning if I see something, I'm going to eat it. That is a recipe for some super intense fat gain. I don't want that. So I'm going to emphasize food quality still. Sleep-wise, 8 hours a night. And actually, I'm going to focus on more so 56 hours total over the course of a week, because if I have a few short nights, I'm going to make that up with, a few extra, maybe an extra hour on one night or an extra nap here and there. That way, it's not so rigid that it's like, I got to get 8 hours every single night. This way, I can look at it as a sort of a weekly total. So 56 hours over the total course of the week. General movement, 10 to 12,000 steps daily. That's what I'm shooting for. This just makes my body feel good. And something to note is that my gym time doesn't replace my general movement. So gym time doesn't replace steps. If I go to the gym during the day, that doesn't mean that I don't hit my 10 to 12,000 steps a day. I still need to get those steps in because, in my opinion, the steps are a baseline movement must. Like, we just have to move. I want to be active with an active lifestyle, right? So I want to be active, 10 to 12,000 steps, with an active lifestyle, going to the gym 2 to 3 days a week. So I don't want to be sedentary, so sitting on my ass all day, with an active lifestyle going to the gym. So if you're going to the gym, say 4 to 5 hours a week, 3 to 4 hours a week, whatever, but then you sit on your ass the whole rest of the day, that is not healthful, in my opinion. So it's important to get that baseline movement in, regardless of whether you're weight training or, rock climbing or whatever. We need to walk, essentially. That's what I'm saying. So let's get into the actual digits. It's the beginning of February now. By the end of May, I want to put on 12 pounds total, okay? From June to July, so that 1 month, 4 weeks, I'm going to do a mini fat loss phase of 2 to 4 pounds, because there's going to be some residual fat gain with my caloric surplus. In order to put on muscle, I'm going to have to put on some fat, and I'm cool with that. But I'm going to outline that time, or give myself that time from June to July, in order to drop that additional fat. And therefore, that leaves me at my total of 8 to 12 pounds, or 8 to 10 pounds of muscle gain, right? Because I want it to be lean in the end, right? So weight from June to July with this mini fat loss phase, the 2 to 4 pounds of residual fat gain from my surplus over the prior months, weight training stays the same, right? So 2 to 3 days per week, again, leading towards the 3. I'm going to eat in a caloric deficit as opposed to a caloric surplus. So the foods are pretty much going to stay the same. I'm just going to eat less of them. Sleep-wise, stays consistent. 8 hours nightly, 56 hours a week. General movement, same dealio. 10 to 12,000 steps daily. So everything you'll notice stays the same except for my nutrition. I'm going to eat in a caloric deficit as opposed to a surplus when I'm trying to drop that 2 to 4 pounds of residual fat gain. Now, I need to add 3 pounds per month So 0.75 pounds per week of total weight to hit that 12-pound weight gain total by the end of May. So I'm starting at 160 pounds, and then I'm aiming to be 172 pounds by May 31st. Then from June to July, like I said, I'm going to be cutting that 2 to 4 pounds of fat. And then I'm also going to, keep up everything, right? Everything is going to stay the same, except for I'm going to shift my nutritional intake to a caloric deficit as opposed to a surplus. So that 2 to 4 pounds, what does that equate to over the course of 4 weeks from June to July? It's 0.5 pounds of weight loss per week to 1 pound. So that would leave me in that 2 to 4 pound range, right? So that would leave me with my 8 to 10 pounds of muscle gain at the end, ideally. Accountability, number 3, right? Darce is going to keep me accountable. I'm going to keep her updated on my progress and how I'm doing week to week. She knows what my specific goals are, so I can stay accountable to her. Also, I'll probably do a little goal update on the podcast when I wrap up this 5-month thing. So I'm also going to be accountable to you guys, right, over the next 5 months. So I'm putting these external sort of sources of accountability in place in order to motivate me to stay on track. And the reason that accountability is so huge is that knowing isn't enough, right? Pretty much everybody knows that they should eat healthfully, but doing it is a totally different ballgame. So people know smoking's bad for them, and yet they still do it, right? Like, knowing isn't inherently actionable, so accountability can really help you out here. Now, I'm also going to take some progress pictures, so I can not only stay accountable with the scale and Darce and you guys, but also just I can assess my progress. I'll probably do week to week or maybe every 2 weeks, just to see, how I'm looking. As a side note, I'd recommend that you guys take the 4 Tendencies quiz. It's by this woman, Gretchen Rubin. She put some pretty cool stuff together. It'll help you distinguish how to best hold yourself accountable. There are 4 different sort of categories you can fall into. And I think the quiz takes like 5 minutes. I'm going to link it in the show notes below. So I'd recommend you do that if you are going to set a goal, just so you can figure out how to hold yourself accountable in the best way possible. So, for example, I actually don't have a hard time being accountable to myself. That's just kind of the way I'm wired. But some people really like an external sense of accountability from, like, if they have a goal to go for a walk first thing in the morning, 5 days a week, they find it really hard to motivate themselves or stay accountable to themselves to do that. But if they have a walking group that is relying on them and they've committed to, and they know that the people are there and they're expecting them and all that sort of stuff, they find it super easy to get to that walking group. They don't want to disappoint the walking group, so they make it, right? Some people hire a trainer because they want to be accountable to that personal trainer. They show up, they know what time every week, they're going to be there, 2 times a week or whatever. And that trainer holds them accountable. And other people just go to the gym on their own 4 to 5 days a week or whatever it is, and they have no problem motivating themselves that way. Figure out how you're motivated or how you stay accountable and set yourself up for success that way. Number 4, reassess along the way. So I'm probably going to reassess every week or 2, but at least every month on a big scale to be sure that I'm on track, my body's feeling good, I'm progressing. I still actually want to carry out this process because there is a chance that I might get to, say, 170 pounds and decide that that's enough. I'd like to start dropping some fat now that I've accumulated over the course of the prior months. Or who knows, like maybe I'll say, I want to get a little heavier. I'm going to push things to 175 before doing my mini fat loss phase. It's just important to reassess because I don't know where I'll be at that point. It's basically a cross that bridge when you get to it sort of setup, so you can be sure that the process is working for and with your lifestyle, goals, priorities, etc. Now, lastly, we get to the celebrate your wins section. So at the end of each month, I'm going to check to be sure that I'm on track with my workouts, nutrition, sleep, movement. And if so, I'm going to treat myself and Darce to a dinner out. Now, this is going to contribute to my goal because, as you guys all know, that eating meals out typically are pretty calorific, and I want to gain some weight. So not that all of my other meals are going to be at home. That's definitely not the case. I'm still going to eat out over the course of the over the course of the process, but it's just something to look forward to, strive to. That's all. It's again, sort of like an external motivator sort of deal. And that is going to contribute to my goal, not hinder it. That's the most important thing about the celebrating your wins deal. So just to wrap up, you can use this as an outline to set up your fitness goals, or really any goal for that matter. And if you end up writing something out, I'd love it if you shared it with me on Facebook, Instagram, or just straight up email me. I'd love to check out your goals. And then I might even be able to help you by tweaking some things and help you get there. But I hope that was helpful, that going through it step by step. I just use myself as an example because it's the easiest way. And just keep in mind that the whole point of this goal setting exercise is that it supports you, right? You've probably all heard the quote, failing to plan is planning to fail. And, to a large degree, that's true. If you're driving 1,000 miles to a new city and you haven't mapped out your route, you're probably going to get lost. Like, you might get there eventually, but you're probably going to take like 30 wrong turns. It's going to take you 5 times as long, all that sort of stuff. Set yourself up for success, right? And that's what this outline does. So also, I'd say having a plan is super empowering. Like it makes a seemingly huge task seem totally doable. If you have a 50-pound total weight goal and you're just like, fuck, I got to lose 50 pounds, as opposed to giving yourself a year, breaking it down week by week and saying, I'm going to lose a pound a week. Excuse me. There's 52 weeks in a year. If I'm going to lose a pound a week, and then I'm going to break that down into like quarters. So like, 3-month increments. And that's just so much more doable. That 50-pound total seems super, super big, but breaking it down, getting detailed with it, getting into the nitty gritty and the how and all that sort of stuff is super empowering. So I hope that helps you guys out. And then before we sign off here, it really helps the podcast grow when you guys review it on iTunes. It just helps us reach more folks with the information, which is ultimately the goal, right? And it really helps us out when you take, I think it's like 30 seconds to leave us a review. Even if you hate it, if you hate my voice, you found, my face is annoying, the info shit, it's not implementable, whatever. I want to hear from you. So that's it, guys. I hope you got a bunch out of the podcast. I'll catch you on the next episode. And again, be sure to email me or just contact me, Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of good stuff. If you decide to put this plan in place, which I'd highly encourage if you have a fitness goal, hit me up and I will catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening, guys. See ya.